Hey gang, Mr. Cruze here with another video for you. This time, Unit 3, Lesson 10. No actual notes for this. You just have the practice worksheet, but I just want to go through a couple examples. We've already done this, so I just want to recap it for you. So we're going to be graphing some quadratics in standard form and in vertex form. So standard form, you'll recall, is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is the number in front of the x squared term, which in this case is 3. B is the number in front of the x term, which in this case is 6. I apologize, my b's and 6's look the same. And c is the constant. It's just by itself. It's negative 10. Please make sure you drag signs with them as well. So first thing we always look for before we start graphing these parabolas is direction, right? And that's always found in the a value. If a is positive, which it is, then our graph's going to go up. If it's negative, it's going to go down. Next thing we look for is the axis of symmetry, and that is always found in standard form at x equals negative b over 2a. So in this case, negative b, that would be negative 6 over 2a, which gives me negative 6 over 6, which gives me negative 1. So my axis of symmetry is actually x equals negative 1. And remember, it is a vertical line, which is why we always have the x equals part. Okay, so when I go out to graph this, I know at negative 1, there is this, I'm going to draw my negative 1 a little farther out. There is this vertical dotted line that's going to split my parabola in half. Okay? Next thing is the vertex. Okay? First off, the x-coordinate of the vertex has to be the same number as the axis of symmetry. The vertex has to live on the axis of symmetry. It's the middle point. Now, to find its y-coordinate, to find exactly where it is on that dotted line, I need to plug in negative 1 into my equation. Okay, and if I do, I have to be careful. Order of operations, right? Negative 1 squared is 1, and then I'll multiply out the rest here in a second. So 3 times 1 is 3. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6, minus 10. So 3 minus 6 minus 10 gives me negative 13. Okay, hopefully most of the ones we gave you on your worksheet will stay on the graph, but this one goes all the way down to negative 13. I'm going to put a dot. Obviously, I could mark all that off, but I'm just going to put a dot there. Now, last but not least, I need to make a little table. Okay. An x and a y table. Negative 1, negative 13, very clearly in the middle, right? And then I need to pick an x value above and below negative 1. So below it is negative 2, above it is 0. Since I went 1 either direction, the y values have to be the same. They have to be the same height. After all, it is symmetrical. So I would pick the easier of the two numbers to plug in. I would pick 0. Either one you pick should give you the same y value, though. If they don't, your vertex might be wrong. So if I plug in 0, obviously this goes to 0, this goes to 0, and then minus 10. And both of them will have the same y coordinate. So I'm going to go up a couple. Here's negative 10. So 0, negative 10, and negative 2, negative 10. So here is my parabola. Just try and draw the best U-shape that you can. Okay? And secondly, the vertex form. Remember, vertex form is in the form a times x minus h squared plus k. You notice it's very clear here. But you'll notice a is the same as it was in standard form. A is the number out front of the parentheses. So a is negative 1. And it turns out, as far as direction is concerned, since a is a negative number, that means my parabola is going to go down. Now, as far as the axis of symmetry, there is no b to work with anymore. So I need to look right here. It turns out the axis of symmetry is always at x equals h, okay, when you're in vertex form. Now you'll notice h, in our original equation, it's written as minus h, right? So that means I have to take the opposite of what I see. So in here, I see a plus 3. That means my axis of symmetry is actually at x equals negative 3. Another way to think about this is the number that if I plugged it in, it would make this squared part go to 0, right? Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So there's my axis of symmetry, negative 3. So if I think about my graph, I go negative 3 on the x-axis and draw my vertical dotted line. And then, if I think about my vertex form is actually super easy. Once again, you'll notice the x-coordinate's the same as what it was before. But this guy right here, no sign change at all, right, is my y-coordinate of my vertex. So it's negative 1. negative 3, negative 1. So I'm going to go left 3, down 1, put a dot. And now I just need to make a table. Vertex form is really nice for getting the vertex, by the way. Hence the name Vertex Form. I need one number below negative 3, that's negative 4, and one number above it's negative 2. I don't care which one you pick here. I don't think there's an easier choice of the two. So I'll plug in negative 4, why not? So we have negative 1, negative 4 plus 3 squared minus 1. Lots of negatives going on here, so be careful. Order of operations tells me parentheses first, so negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Then I have to square that. Well, negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. And negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. And then minus 1, that gives me negative 2. So after all that, I simplify to get to negative 2. And then I just plot them. And we draw the parabola, and you've got it. Okay? I hope this has been helpful. Obviously, you have the Lesson 8 worksheet. You have the Lesson 9 worksheet. Hang on to those. Use those to help you fill out the Lesson 10 practice worksheet. I expect the Lesson 9 and the Lesson 10 worksheet to be done by Wednesday, okay? So be ready to have those done. The graphs are on the board, so you can check your answers. It doesn't have the direction and all that listed, but just check the graph, and that should kind of confirm if you've done it correctly, all right? Good luck, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow.